Tonight on the Mac to the Future Go show. Number one, will my AirPods work? It's still a question. It may not. Also, is there any reason why a computer monitor would be one of the main stories tonight? Well, when it's 40 inches and includes tons of other ports, it might be worth a mention. Both David Ginsburg and I have the new Maonocaster Kickstarter mixer audio devices, and we're going to devote a little bit of time to that. Also, some CES 21 talk, because if they threw a conference that no one could attend, would it still be interesting? Why, yes, I think it would. All of that tonight and more on the Mac to the Future livecast. Go. Hello, everyone. We have another fascinating Mac to the Future livecast Go show for you tonight. And the weird thing is both David and I are using different audio interfaces than we normally do. And for whatever reason, I am still having issues with Bluetooth and my AirPods. So I'm probably going to have to switch over to headphones here in a minute, because if I can't hear either one of these other guys talk, what's the point? But we're going to start off and see if I can hear him with Mr. Dave Ginsburg. Hey. Hello there, Mr. Dave Ginsburg. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing well. Can you hear me? Okay. I think.
Yeah, I can't hear you. I'm switching. And just keep talking.
The wrong graphic. So let's talk about Apple's big announcement that they made a huge deal out of.
No, I called that. I knew it was going to be.
I mean, it's going to be some sort of equality and justice initiative.
Yeah, for sure.
That's posted on their news newsroom today.
Yeah.
No, it's great to see.
And, yeah, you could be disappointed that it's not something more fun for techies, but you can't blame them for doing it.
It's important. I mean, they're financing a developer center in Detroit, which is really cool.
Yeah, they had
looked like a really, really nice place too.
Yeah, they had a markup of it. It looks very clean, very Johnny Ivy. So yeah, it should be good. And then they're doing something in one was Detroit, one I think was in Atlanta. They were doing something in Atlanta.
It was Atlanta too.
Yeah. So yeah, that's good. And then what else happened recently? That's not political.
They're still talking. Apple and Hyundai are going to potentially produce electric cars in Georgia.
Right.
But Hyundai, I guess, pulled their announcement after a few hours later, after they making the announcement, because I don't think Apple was probably too happy about it because it wasn't official.
Right. Well, CES still has that Sony car, and if you listen to that Sony car, there's a lot of partners in that thing. So they're partnering with like everybody, like BlackBerry's in there. Like there was like 20 partners in that. So I mean, people are competing.
And then then Sony actually came out with come out with a what do you call it?
Drone.
The drone, yeah. I was having a brain.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. And then Wi-Fi 6E got announced.
Right, and with the routers, the mesh routers, the E's talk to each other on that band, I think, which is good. Yeah, so that was good. What else can we talk about? Well, I'm not going to
go through his notes here.
Yeah, we got his notes. What's good here?
Well, he's talking about the leaks, the potential leaks with the new iPad Pro. I mean, we've already beat this to death. We know there's going to be new iPad Pros coming out. I mean, there's no question about that.
Every year. Yeah,
I mean, every year, and it's overdue. I mean, 2020 it was a very modest upgrade compared. Then you and I both kept our 2018s, and we're perfectly happy with them. So
they're almost exactly the same as the old, the new ones. So yeah, so that's a
iPhone SE. I would find that kind of hard to believe. That current SE is still a great phone. The second gen. to Ruben about that. But
What's the rumor about the SE? I missed
well, he
that.
has it in the notes here. I don't recall seeing that, but
New
iPad
iPad
SE
Pro
rumored to
and
ship
SE.
in April 2021. Then of
I
course
could
we'll
see
probably
it.
have a bunch of announcements like we expect. Uh,
I could see them coming out with another SE, just because people like the home button, and it'll be cheaper still than the
and cheaper,
12,
right?
12 mini or whatever it is. So I could see that happening. iPad Pros definitely, there'll be new ones of those, maybe ones that don't sweat. Row against it's like gaining sensor touching. All right, and then the other thing.
Yeah, it's
ahead.
and I just saw that as I just updated Audio Hijack for those of you who use Audio Hijack for as I do and for podcasting and recording audio. They upgraded it to version 3.8.1, which is now a fully compatible with the M1 Max, which is awesome. So it
Nice.
looks like we're finally, I've been using my M1 Mac here for a bit, and it's definitely got it's zippy, man. It's
Yeah, I got so I have Mac Updater, a program called Mac
yeah,
Updater.
I have that.
I have Clean My Mac, and then I have the Office Updater, which I run like every 3 times a day just to see what's coming up for the updates. So I got mostly everything I need on the on Silicon Performance. I'm like Edge is still not M1. You have to use Canary. They're like taking their sweet time on that one. So that's a
Right.
little
Yeah, I
strange.
saw that. Yeah, it's still sitting on the Canary. Which
I mean, if you're not using Canary, you'd be a little upset at this point. But yeah, most of my stuff is running on Silicon. I'll use my Air more than I'll use my 16-inch when I can.
I installed that little applet, the Silicon Info. There's a little app that you can download, and it stays in the system up in the tool
And what does it do?
taskbar at the top, and you click it, and it tells you whether or not it's it's the Silicon version. Like I just clicked it now, and I have Firefox running, and it says, yep, it says it's Apple Silicon, so you know right away from there. I mean, obviously you can go into the settings,
Right.
and you can go into the in this, what is it, about this Mac, and go into the storage,
software area.
and then go to
software.
manage, and then the storage offers in there. So
Is it there?
yeah,
I
think it is.
No, it's not there. It's
applications. Yeah, the first applications.
Does it tell you there?
Yeah, and there it gives you the list of all the
universal. So what is universal? That means
Intel, yeah.
yeah. That's cool. That's still Intel. Teams Clean My.
For me,
Clean My Mac. I thought Clean My Mac was already.
For me, Edge was Handbrake still Intel. But they do have a beta version of Handbrake that they've come out with in GitHub.
Yeah. So I wonder, the things.
Up an update on OneDrive. That's interesting.
Yeah, I was just going to talk about that because I have that constantly open, obviously because I have the client running on OneDrive. Yeah. So does that slow you down? I wonder if that's just having that Intel app on running all the time.
I thought Zoom updated. No, the Zoom. I thought Zoom updated.
I thought so too. They did. Well, actually, mine says Apple Silicon up there.
Yeah, I must have to. I mean, I probably need to update it.
You have an older version. Well, it's cool. It also tells you iOS if you have any iOS.
Yeah, because I got LumaFusion, and that's the only one I have installed right now.
Yeah, I got a few. So yeah, I have not too many.
Yeah, VLC hasn't updated yet.
Right.
Yeah.
So the OneDrive and Google Backup and Sync are still Intel, and I have those running constantly on my desktop. I wonder if I should cut them off until they got that going. But yeah, I check all the time.
Updated, but Slack is good.
Yeah, I saw Slack was. New betas. We had new betas today, everybody.
Oh, yeah, we'll be talking about that tomorrow on In Touch with iOS. So
yeah, but, well, we can't talk much about it because I don't notice a thing about them.
There isn't a thing. I mean, that's usually how bad it's been, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just the bug fixes. I was pretty sure it's going to be final this week, but I guess not. But it's been a month and I haven't noticed a thing. I did the watch, I did the phone and the Mac.
Okay. Their big survey betas on too. I probably have to check that.
Yeah, it came out too, so that's good.
That's 11.2.
It's 11.2 beta 2.
Beta 2.
Yeah. 11.2
So,
beta 2.
so I don't doesn't look like that guy's gonna make it here. So we might as well we could jump into the main story here. I did look at this monitor. This is the monitor he talked about. This is a Dell that actually introduced a 40-inch 5K 2K ultra wide monitor that has Thunderbolt 3 connectivity to Macs. And I'll read this. Dell this week unveiled a series of new monitors, and there was one in particular that stands out for the Mac users. It's an ultra sharp 40-inch curved monitor. It did get an innovation award from CES 2021, and it's probably the world's first 40-inch ultra-wide curved monitor with a 5120 by 2160 resolution. Pretty impressive there. Well, I guess it's not in true 5K display, but it does work around 140 ppi, which is about equivalent to a 32-inch 4K display. But it has about 33% more viewing space. But it does have all the built-in ports, which is awesome with the Thunderbolt, and everything can pass through a single cable. Has up 90 watts of pass-through power, so you can charge your MacBook Pro. It's got display port, so it's loaded with ports. This is pretty slick, and I think the price wasn't. I mean, it was probably I don't know. Was it? I don't know. If it was $2,000 or was it about a little over $1,000 maybe?
I'm looking for the link, but yeah, I don't see it.
So he has
And
that right there, but
you get the 90 watts of pass through, which is good because you could pretty much have one. You put one USB-C power into it, and they could get just the one cable coming out. Somebody at Mac to the Future was looking for a monitor reports on it. This might be a good one too.
Yeah, I did have a link to it because I saw that Dell had sent out an actual press release announcement on it. So,
right. I'm interested. You hear that there's a Samsung Smart monitor that I think I want.
is there?
Yeah, it's basically it has internet. It's a monitor with internet connectivity, so you could actually run like TeamViewer without a computer from the monitor, and and it could connect to apps. It connects to Netflix. It's almost like a smart TV, but for a monitor. So,
Yeah.
See if I can find that somewhere. But, the monitor. I wish I had room for it.
Yeah, it's way too big for me.
Yeah, exactly. What else is here? So LG is also showing off a 40-inch display with similar specs. No potential costs were listed for either display. So Guy doesn't think there was a price on that one.
I don't think there was either. So, but I'll touch upon CES a little bit. I did attend it. I attended last year, and that was my first time ever attending it in person, and I absolutely loved it. It was a lot of fun. I mean, you can't even imagine that you could even see a 16th of what they have there, as far as all the vendors that are out there. So, overall, I thought it was. I don't know if you spent any time going around to the exhibitors and the quote unquote virtual halls. But I think they did a pretty good job for the most part. The videos were streaming smoothly. I didn't have too much of any breakups. I was pretty pleased that part of it was. There was a lot less in the way of exhibitors from this year versus last, because that makes sense. I mean, I think they said there was around 1,900 exhibitors versus around 4,500 that are normally at a CES. But you also have that the Hall of Doom area where you have all those little niche exhibitors that come in from Taiwan and Korea or wherever, and they're trying to push off their small little products, and there's no way that they would have any justification being able to show off their wares.
But I bet
a lot of what it was.
Yeah, goes back. But I bet a lot of the major ones, wanted to. A lot of them go because they want to go to Vegas. I mean,
of course,
they might say that's not the case, but it's the case. If you're not going to Vegas, why go? So,
can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Is there any echo?
No.
Okay.
Did you switch off the Maonocaster?
No. I'm still on the Maonocaster. It was. I had to jump through some really weird hoops to make everything kind of work.
Mine was simple. I unplugged my mic from my Rodecaster Pro. I plugged it into the Maonocaster, and I turned it on. I plugged it into my computer, and it works. I
had to not monitor from the Maonocaster. I knew that right away. I just said I'm unplugging. Yeah, because I think that's what was making the echo.
Yeah. Yep.
I plugged this microphone into this USB port.
Yes, thank you. We understand.
And put on some headphones and decided if I was coming to do this podcast or not.
So we were just talking about this CES and how it was, and then we went through the monitor and the other main stories already. So
why don't you guys talk about your new toy and all?
Well, hold on. We got some feedback. Want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. That.
From Ronnie Greer. He said he cut this is related to the
last week.
2 weeks ago, actually, when we were talking about cord cutting.
Right.
Says he cut the cord about 2.5 years ago. Since doing that, we watch less garbage and TV in general, a roof-mounted over-the-air antenna, a variety of free streaming services, a handful of paid services, a TiVo over-the-air DVR with lifetime subscription, and don't forget about YouTube. I think too many people hang on to too many TV shows, thus equalizing much of the savings from cutting the cord. I'd say Prime, Netflix, Disney, we have little ones over here all the time. Hulu's lowest tier, and all of the freebies will provide more than enough programming for many. I think people fail to flush out what's available for free. Ads are brief, and I'll give you a chance to get up periodically. I've all but abandoned Facebook, so it's nice to visit you guys here. Thank you, Ronnie. We really appreciate the feedback.
I was wondering where he went. I sold him a computer once, and he's a nice guy. So
he is. So we appreciate the feedback, and anyone who wishes to send us feedback, there's there'll be all the ways to talk about that at the end of the show, and we welcome the feedback, unless it's to tell me that apparently I'm completely clueless when it comes to using new audio interfaces.
Well, we just found out about this. You are. So
yeah. Well, I mean, it just seems like every time I try one of these new things, I just like throw it live right in. It's like, okay, I'm just going to do this thing. And it would have been okay if the Bluetooth headphones had been working properly, because prior to me having to switch over to the headphones, everything was working great. And then as soon as I had to stop using the AirPods, it was like, okay, well, somehow your guys' audio got mixed up with the input from everything else. And I think that has to do with we'll talk about the Maonocaster here in a second. Yep. You guys talked about the monitors at CES.
We talked a little bit about CES. I just threw a couple extra items in here that I thought would be interesting for the viewers here. There was a lot of HomeKit enabled items. I was impressed the fact that they added even more of them. This one impressed me, quite a bit here. It's made by a company called Owl. It's called Owl Wired. It's a wired. Why it said wired? It's a smoke detector, carbon monoxide detector, and a humidity detector. And it's linked to HomeKit. And all you basically have to do is mount it to your ceiling. It'll enable through HomeKit, through your iPhone, and be able to monitor it and be able.
It's battery powered.
And it's battery powered.
It would almost have to be.
Yeah. So it does go on your Wi-Fi network, which is pretty slick because you don't see too many of those things. And this was a Canadian company, I believe. They reached out to me, and I thought this would be a cool thing to check out.
Were they at CES, or was this just something that they sent you?
No. Yeah, they were at CES. So
okay.
Most of those, anything I was looking at was either at CES, the CES show itself, or the press events that I attend are PepCom and Showstoppers, and there was some great stuff at PepCom as well. The other one, I saw these guys last year live at the show, Victrola, and Victrola has been a name around 100+ years.
Yeah.
And they made the hardcore radios back in the day, and then of course, just like RCA and many of those other brands, they were bought out and conglomerates grabbed them. But they're doing a pretty interesting way of coming out with some products here and branding. They've got some radios and other things that are more current to the technology of today. But this turntable, a lot of people are really into vinyl. It's just crazy. I just can't believe how vinyl has made such a big comeback.
That's so weird.
And how ironic! I went into my garage a couple weeks ago. I had a huge bin of at least 200 records or so that were sitting
Yeah.
there. I got so fed up with having no room in my garage anymore, so I decided to consolidate, put them in bins. I got them back here in my closet here, and I was playing them. I mean, I've got one of those Ion turntables that you can plug in USB and be able to, you know, record and if you want to.
Yeah, my son Peter is like super into vinyl. He's got like almost the entire Beatles collection on vinyl. He and his girlfriend are like really into a lot of music that I grew up with, the 60s and 70s
Right.
rock and roll. For Christmas, my other son Guy gave him Magical Mystery Tour, and I gave him it was a Grand Funk Railroad album. I can't remember the name of it, but it was one of their better albums. And you know, they're real happy. You just give them a vinyl album, and they're delighted. And I have quite a large collection myself. And the weird thing about my collection, I got a lot of these from my brother Larry, who used to work at an AM radio station down in Fort Lauderdale, WAXY. And so WAXY AM, and there were like on a lot of the albums, there were like little notes that the program director had written on, you know, play this song, don't play this song. And on one of the Beatles albums, it actually said, don't play this song, drugs. And it was like, okay, all right, dude, chill. That's all right. So
what song was it? Do you remember what song it was?
I don't even, I have to go and look. I think it was on the Revolver album, which was a pretty kind of a trippy album to begin with. That was, you know, Revolver, and I know this isn't the Beatles show, but Revolver and Rubber Soul were like the big transition records for the Beatles, as they were going from like being a poppy group to you know, more of a serious band.
But
so yeah, it's like turntables are a big thing now.
Yeah, this model that I linked in here it's called the Eastwood, and it does include an Audio Technica cartridge, which is pretty cool, because Audio Technica makes some pretty high end cartridges usually. So this has got a pretty decent cartridge. It's Bluetooth. It's got built-in speakers. It does have audio out on it, so you can use it. So
it's got like the RCA style jacks on the back of it.
Yeah, so you could actually get a converter,
integrate it
into your computer if you wanted to. And it's got the built-in preamp, so you don't have to worry, because that was always the problem with buying it. I mean, I got a linear tracking Techniques. You remember that brand?
Sure.
Sitting up in my closet too.
That was like, I think they were bought out by like Pioneer or somebody. Panasonic. Okay.
Yeah. Techniques was my system. I had the whole thing.
Techniques. Yeah, I had my whole rack. Yeah.
I had a bunch of stuff from J.C. Penney's. Believe it or not.
I had
J.C. Penney's branded
real
audio gear.
That was my first stereo.
What, Realistic?
Yeah.
For Radio Shack.
Remember when you got the so the equalizer was like the last thing you bought usually, because
exactly.
So and then the tape deck
and nobody knew how to really use it, so you would just basically flatten it out and then just play.
I would just play with it. So I had the equalizer, but I remember going from the record player to the tape deck a lot.
Yeah.
So, because
just to finish this off, it does have Bluetooth too, which I found it'd be interesting. So it'd be interesting to see how that would work hooking up to Bluetooth. So $99, and I'm sure you can find cheaper on Amazon. So good.
And that comes with the stylus?
With the cartridge, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That is pretty good.
Yep.
So did you guys talk about those two monitors?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then why don't we it seems almost anticlimactic now, but why don't we talk about the Maonocaster?
Sure.
Now, you got yours on Wednesday? No, on Monday.
Tuesday. Was it Monday? That was Monday.
Yeah, it was Monday, because I got mine yesterday.
Yeah, Monday.
So this was a Kickstarter program that came. Now Dave already had, correct me if I'm wrong, you already had the Rode Procaster.
I have the Rodecaster Pro.
Yeah, the Rodecaster Pro.
You have to get it right. It's the.
I know. I always mix that up. You had the Rodecaster Pro prior to this Kickstarter.
Yes.
And when I saw the Kickstarter program, or the Kickstarter for this device, it looked really interesting to me. And when it came yesterday, and you'd kind of warned me when it came yesterday, and you were telling me, it was like, it's a lot smaller than I thought it was gonna be.
Tiny.
It is. It's really, really tiny. And to give people an idea,
How small this thing is.
yeah. Well, I don't want to lift mine up because I'm
I
afraid
figured you have,
something bad will happen.
Yeah, this thing is tiny. Look at this thing.
Yeah, very portable. It has a. We'll talk about the good and bad in just a second, but this is from like the web page that came with this, and that's like the front of it. Each one of the channels. There's 2 XLR channels, and then there's a 3.5 millimeter jack channel if you wanted to hook up a phone or something like that. Each has a mute button. Interestingly enough, and this kind of surprised me, both of the XLR inputs have individual 48 volt phantom power buttons.
Yep.
And on something like this, that kind of surprised me to see that. You have an actual useful meter that's up there in the upper center, and then they made some odd choices here. That the auto tune thing I don't really get, and we'll talk about that. And then you've got just underneath that varying degrees of reverb is really the best way I can.
You mean I can talk like a baby?
Yeah, or
You can just talk like a monster. Just like this, a monster.
Or, something sexier.
so. And I haven't tried it, but there's a music button there.
Yes, I have tried it.
Okay, and you said that works mostly.
What it's supposed to do is it actually, if you play music through this device, I mean, what you can do, because that's the whole thing of it being a mixer. So you want to be able to mix, not having your mic and being on a podcast.
You all sound crappy now, by the way.
Do we do?
Well, you do.
I do.
Yeah, you're kind of echoing a little bit.
No, it's not even
Like
echoing.
reverb, heavy reverb.
Is that better?
Nope.
Yeah, I should have done it. I knew I shouldn't have done it.
Yeah, you picked it up. You shouldn't have picked it up.
Never play with it during your podcast.
Yeah, do I sound all right, Warren?
You sound fine. Yeah.
Okay, thank God
I
for
can't hear
once.
it.
Yeah, I can hear it.
So I'm echoing.
Yeah, it's like you almost still have the high female voice kind of trying to sneak in there.
How's it now?
Yeah, hit the mode button. See if that makes any difference.
You sound like a robot.
I sound like a robot.
There, it's gone now.
You just fix it. Whatever you just said.
I switched between the electronic and the mode. All right.
Yeah.
So
that was
anyway,
probably it.
with the music only, what it does is it'll filter out the
words, the singer.
The singer, and it'll just bring the music so you can listen to it. The other interesting thing was the side chain, where actually what it'll do is when you're talking and there's music playing in the background while you're talking, it'll actually dim the music down. It'll lower the volume of the music. And
I was trying to remember what that did. Yeah. So it's kind of like a what do they call that? Auto ducking.
Ducking, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
I ducking hate when it happens.
Oh. So to give you some background on this thing, it has 2 XLR inputs and 3 3.5 millimeter inputs to go along with 5 3.5 millimeter
Did you get this too?
outputs. Yes, I did. It came. Yeah, so they all came with like a little lav mic. Oh, I guess almost as like a thank you for joining into the Kickstarter. I haven't really tried it yet. What does it sound like?
I haven't tried either.
Okay.
Of course it doesn't have a clip. So
No,
what's the point?
mine had a clip.
Where is my clip?
I don't know.
Is it in here? Oh, it's in here. Okay, got it.
Okay. So it's got the auto tune, which I for something that's really kind of designed for podcasting, some of the choices that they made on some of the stuff that's on this thing just didn't make any sense to me. The heavy
Breathing.
No, the heavy parts of adding reverb. There's a lot of buttons to give you various degrees of reverb,
Right.
and that I didn't understand that at all. And the same thing kind of with like, the
The female.
And the male.
And the baby.
and the robot, and
Oh, hold on. Oh, come on.
So
Get
now
get back to the one I wanted to get to. There we
now
go.
you're same things happen to you now.
Yeah, it should be okay now, though.
No, it's
So
not.
it's not?
You got to
No.
go between electronic and the mode. So that should fix it.
Check, check. 1, 2.
No, it's like you're in a chamber.
That's what it
Oh,
sounds like.
well, that's all turned down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
the
6, 6.
Press the electronic one, and then press the mode.
1, 2, 3, 4.
No,
Uh,
I was able to.
I mean, it's not terrible. I mean,
what about this? How's this? Is this all right?
Yeah. Oh, that's you sound sexy. Ooh.
all right. Well, it's hard for me to give this a decent review since I'm having so many. We're both having so many weird
I mean,
issues with it.
I think the bottom line of it is it's a toy. It was it didn't cost too terribly amount of money. It's a nice to have. I like to have it as a backup. I can travel with it. It's small.
Yeah.
It's lightweight. But I mean, all the limitations that you put in there, there's a lot of limitations. Everything's on a 3.5-inch connector because it came with.
Well, except for the 2 XLR jacks.
Well, sorry for the. I mean, look. I mean, remember this box that came in with all these audio cables. I mean, you look in here.
Yeah, there was a ton of cables.
Look at all those cables in there.
Well, at least they gave them to you though.
Yeah, I guess give them that.
All right, so let's go over. I've got a plus and a minus thing here. So the cool features, you've got separate
Clear it up.
48 volts. It
Voice
did?
clear.
Okay, good. Separate 48 volt phantom power buttons for each XLR input. Mute buttons for each input, including the two phone and aux inputs. The preamps actually don't suck.
Yeah, they're actually good.
You know, this is off of a condenser microphone. You're using a dynamic microphone, and give me just a second here.
And I'm actually using the cloud lifter on here too. No, it's not working. We're boring Warren too.
that's all right.
Oh, okay. Now it should be working.
I'm
Is it
getting
working
an
now?
I'm getting an Oculus Go. Not an Oculus Quest 2
And Tony.
next week.
Okay, so
That's going to be more exciting than your thing.
this is a Shure SM58. It's got a Fed head attached to it, and you know the preamps on this thing they're actually not that bad. Well designed buttons and sliders that feel substantial, and not really at all toy-like. I mean, they're actually not that bad. There's a denoise slider on the back that works reasonably well for like what it is. It's a hard gate. You know, it's like anything that goes below this frequency, it's gone. It's got a bunch of programmable sound effects buttons that you could put intros and outros. Like for example, I put that on.
You already programmed them?
Well, one of them, just that one. Except you can't make them stop once they start. They got to go all the way through.
You also can.
Okay.
In hand, I hope. So you can all go home and there's nothing to
All
worry
right,
about. Get out of here now. Go on home.
And it's really
not-
tiny. It's much smaller
Go home.
than I expected. Not so cool features, especially for podcasters.
You know, I'm going to say something really bad.
Yeah. It's only stereo out. That's it. You know, there's no way to separate the right and left channels if you wanted to record the XLR inputs or others onto like separate tracks. Some of the weird design choices that include the auto tuner for singers on a device that's kind of meant for podcasting. The dedicated buttons for male, female, baby, and robot voices that are kind of one-trick ponies. And I don't think it really adds much to the device. It's something that you'll see like, oh wow, look, I'm not going to hit it because God knows if I'll get my voice back again. I can make myself sound like a monster. Okay,
Yeah.
you know how that just kind of
Well,
after
and I can give you my comparison. I mean, the Rodecaster Pro.
it blows it away. Yeah, but it's also
$600 versus 150. So
yeah. Well, this is actually going to be $199 when it
200,
retails.
yeah.
So it's 1/3 the price
Right.
of a Rodecaster Pro. And if your needs are such that, I forgot, this is the most important thing that it doesn't have, that it should have. There's no way to actually record on the device itself.
Right.
You
Well,
have to
that's
output it to something else. So it would have been nice to have like an SD card slot to make it a true audio all-in-one mixer and recorder. Because I forgot to mention this, one of the things that this has that is kind of cool, it's got a built-in battery.
Right.
Now, how long that battery lasts, I don't know, but you don't actually have to have it connected to power in order to make it work.
You still have to
So-
connect to your computer, so
Yeah. So, but you still have to connect to a computer, which is going to require power. So,
Right.
you know, how useful is that? If this had like an SD card slot or something, or built-in memory or something that would enable you to be able to record directly to the device, I could have actually forgiven a lot of the things that is kind of lacking on this. Now, obviously, this is a version 1 device.
Right.
And I'm guessing that Moano is more than likely going to feature something like this in like version 2 or version 3, or, make it more, instead of, because right now it seems like it's trying to be everything to everyone, and it's just not good enough for any of those things. It needs
back
more.
on the Rodecaster.
Yeah. And, I'll be back on my regular setup over here. I used this for Chuck's thing last night,
Yeah.
and I'm using it today. I don't know when I would use it again for
I would
any of
use
my
it
podcasts.
if I'm going to travel. I don't feel like lugging around my Rodecaster Pro. I would probably plug this thing with me just to have, so I have a mixer with me.
Yeah,
Never had
but I also have a Behringer UMC 204, which is a 2 XLR input audio device.
Right.
So, what advantage does this have over something like that, where I can actually have separation between those two inputs? The only thing that the couple of things that this has that doesn't is like a phone input, because something I was actually thinking about trying this tonight, but it was like, there's enough going on right now. You can connect up your phone to this, and maybe we'll try this next week if I can figure out all the ins and outs of this without losing the first 15 to 20 minutes of the show with me trying to make it work.
Oh, you got some content. You'll be able to edit.
Yeah. Well, I've got a Google Voice number that I have never announced to anyone. So maybe next week I'll connect up my phone to this device, and we'll see if we can take live calls while the show is going on.
On the Rodecaster Pro. So.
Yeah, definitely. But
I don't think
Anyway,
that's not a good idea, by the way, but go ahead.
well, I'm sure Marcus would like to call in.
I'm sure he would. That's who I want to speak to, I'm sure.
yeah. Anyway,
We love you, Marcus. We're just joshing with you mostly.
Yeah,
Mostly.
honestly.
All right. That is going to do it for tonight. Thank you all so very much for joining us on what has turned out to be a very, very odd
very-
Mac to the Future Go, where I wasn't even on it for half the time.
It's fascinating.
that
Yeah.
was very fascinating.
And now my,
Well, buy that 40-inch Dell monitor. We highly recommend it.
oh man, that is a cool sounding monitor. I'm sorry. It just is. All right. Well, then we're going to outro here, and we're going to start with Mr. Warren Sklar. Mr. Sklar, if people wanted to get a hold of you.
I don't know. After tonight, I don't think I want to get a hold of them or you.
I don't blame you.
I sometimes follow you doing stuff and Dave doing stuff. That's where you can find me.
And you're on
That's
In
it?
Touch with iOS.
Hmm?
And you're on In Touch with iOS.
Yes, that's why I said wherever you can find me here, and I follow Dave at the other place. That's what I said.
Yeah, those places.
Those
All right,
places.
Mr. Dave.
Well, you can find me on In Touch with iOS at intouchwithios.com. We'll be doing a show tomorrow night. You can occasionally find me on the Mac Show on the British Tech Network on Fridays, and we're doing Mac Voices Live, which has turned out to be just a phenomenally fun thing to do every Tuesday night.
Yeah.
He's now broadcasting it on Facebook as well as YouTube, so you can watch it in any place. Chuck Joyner and Mac Voices, so you can, and I've got the guy hooked on it too, so we're having a lot of fun.
It is a rotating cast of real characters.
A lot of characters.
I'm not even the craziest person on that show, and that should tell you a lot.
I watched some of it last night. It was all right. It was good.
So, and then Twitter, you can find me on Dave G65, and I'm still on Twitter, unlike a lot of people that are boycotting it. So,
Yeah.
All right.
Why bother?
Or can't be on it.
Oh,
well,
okay. You can find me. I am Mac Parrot of Vert Shark over there on the. Oh yeah, forgot about that. You can find me Mac Parrot of Vert Shark over there on. And of course, there is the MyMac.com podcast that I do each and every week with. And let's see, there's also the Guys Daily Drive, which I do. And if you want to see the videos, you can go to YouTube, just look for, and then you can also go to Vert, find all of the audios and videos there. Yeah. So,
man, that was dirty.
oh man, there was so much I had to say.
So wait, all this new equipment, Dave, and you don't have new sharks and parrots and stuff in that thing yet?
It's coming soon.
We got one noise so far. I got one noise so far.
No,
Yeah.
didn't bother because I'm going right back to the Rodecaster Pro.
Yeah, and the software for adding the yeah, it is. It's I could not get it to run on the Mac.
Yeah.
The first time I tried it was like no, we don't know who these people are. We don't.
It's not what do you call it?
You got to force it. Yeah, they don't have
security. Yeah, it's not, what do you call it?
I'm just surprised you guys even got something from Kickstarter. I don't think I've ever heard anybody successfully getting something from Kickstarter.
I've got a couple things.
Yeah. There's a guy that writes it's a web comic called Dumbing of Age that I've gotten like 9 or 10 book collections from him. It's a great strip, by the way.
I mean, a Kickstarter.
Oh, with electronic devices and stuff like that. Yeah, well,
I mean, a book is pretty feasible to make, but some of the things on Kickstarter is like,
Yep.
Some of it's like adapters, exactly. Like you'll see like a Kickstarter for a power adapter. I'm like, what?
Well, it slid onto the Apple Power Brick and then it added three more USB ports.
Yeah, but I've seen like just ones that are just normal like USB-C hubs on Kickstarter. It's like, why is this on Kickstarter? Okay, you're having too much fun.
I am. I'm having way too much fun.
I think it's time to go.
All right, everyone. Thank you so very, very much for joining us tonight on the Mac to the Future livecast. Go. And we will see you all next time right here. Thank you all so very much again. Say goodnight, Dave and Warren.
Good night, Dave and Warren.